This is the voice acting panel, and we're just going to introduce ourselves to you, and then, one by one, you can introduce yourselves to us. I'm Wes Johnson. I've done some video games such as Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout 3, Fallout 4, and other such things.
I'm John Patrick Lowry. I'm the sniper in Team Fortress 2. I've done 7 characters in Dota 2, Half-Life 2, a couple of Halo games, lots of other games, about 27 in all. And I'm Mrs. GLaDOS.
And I'm Mrs. Lowry, and I'm the voice of GLaDOS and the administrator in TF2, Overwatch and Half-Life 2, Gypsy Danger and Pacific Rim, couple of voices in Dota 2, and that's what I do, and I'm very lucky to be sitting next to Mike.
Hi, my name is Mike Ross, and I'm a voice actor as well. I'm the voice of Gob, and in fact, all the male ghouls on Fallout 3, and Moriarty, and a number of Professor Lesko. I'm also the voice of Minuteman Radio on Fallout 4, and thank you very much. And people say I do a heck of a Don Knotts. And I'm glad to be here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley Birch. I'm, I guess, Tiny Tina in Borderlands 2. Thank you. Chloe in Life is Strange, Cassie Cage in Mortal Kombat, and Miss Pauling in TF2.
Hi, I'm Jan Johns, and I'm on Fallout 3, Fallout 4. Fallout 4 is Ellie Perkins and Scribe Halen and Colette and Mighty Number 9, Dynatron, and Murder Soul Suspect. If anybody played that, I don't know. Oh yeah, oh cool. And so, a couple of Dungeons and Dragons games back in the day. So.
So now all of you know who we are. It's time to find out who you are. So, we're going to start up by just saying if you have a question for any one of us up here about anything, it could be about voice acting, it could be about our personal lives, we don't have to answer, but step right up to the microphone here and let's get this thing started. All right, sir, just lean down uncomfortably to the microphone and tell us who you are.
My name's Mike, but...
Hi, Mike.
What?
Hi.
Hi, Mike.
What are some outtakes you have in the recording studio, I think it is called?
Did you say antics?
Yeah, recording failures, whatever, some sort of...
Antics
or
and
whatever.
failures, two different
outtakes.
things.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to find.
Gotcha.
Yeah, shenanigans.
So what kind of things go on in the
Yeah,
recording
what kind of
studio?
outtakes
I
like,
belch a
happened?
lot. And actually, I mean, this really is a thing because when you're in the studio and you're talking a lot, obviously you're breathing a lot, and so I take in this air and it makes me belch. So, you know, for all the Valve games, they have a lot of outtakes of me belching.
Are you able to belch on command?
No, I'm not. But I do it all the time. And my
neither.
expression is, oh, look, Mike, I knew you could do it.
What?
My expression is, don't squelch a belch.
And stomach rumbling for me, that happens occasionally.
Yeah, that's my
The way, you know.
Achilles heel as well. I find that if I drink orange juice before a session, my stomach rumbles, but if I don't drink orange juice before a session, my stomach rumbles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I found that too, yeah.
During an Adventure Time episode, I was supposed to push a boulder, and the way that I ended up doing it was that it sounded like I was just taking a massive dump. So my director let me finish. He let me go all the way through it, and then said, hey, do you want to try that again without sounding like you're taking a shit? And I was like, yeah, I really would like to do that, thank you.
I'll not have what she's having.
I think pushing a boulder, the side effect is a massive dump.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it puts a whole new spin on the Sisyphus myth,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Thank you very much, Mike. We really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name
Hello.
is Vincent.
Hi, Vincent.
Hi, Vincent.
Hi, guys. I am from. This thing doesn't work. I'm from just shy of bum expletive to avoid bum expletive nowhere. I've tried to, and I'm trying to get.
Well,
into
welcome
this.
back.
I mean, I want to be at least some kind of voice actor, more than I want to take my next breath. But I am too afraid, and I'm nowhere, no opportunities. I've tried looking around. There's nowhere I could go. Can't go on the internet. I mean, the internet is too oversaturated with everything. I'm trying, but do you have any suggestions to either A, where I should go, or B, how to come over the crippling fear of not going anywhere?
Well, I think, as far as the crippling fear goes, I think it's good to think, what's the worst that can happen if you say move to New York? And the worst that can happen is that you get in a car wreck and you're burned over 98% of your body. You live your rest of your life in horrific pain. You can't talk, you can't see, you can't feel, you don't have any hair, and everyone hates you.
But that probably won't happen if you try to do voice work.
Right.
In most
It happened to
cases.
me, so thanks.
I mean,
I'm sorry I gave you.
no, actually, he's really painting an ugly picture. Truthfully, you mostly would just starve in a cardboard box outside
right.
on the street.
No, I think that I mean it's a real concern. What gets us over that hump? What gets us out of our comfort zone? What gets us out of the airplane with nothing but a piece of silk on our back? And that's what you're talking about. You're talking about making a leap of faith.
You had
Am I
silk?
Yes. He's talking about a parachute.
Oh,
Yeah.
mine was burlap.
Well, they wanted a different result when you jumped out of the airplane.
I know.
So.
Yeah.
But you know
Jumping
what
out of the
you
airplane
You can't blame
in
them
a-
for trying.
Yeah,
What
with
you
a parachute
say-
or a fine silk suit are two different things.
Yes, that's right.
Vincent, when you say where are you from, it is helpful to be in an area with enough population density. So yeah, you probably want to live in an urban area. But, you could live around Atlanta. You could live around, Dallas. You could live in Southern California. Where do you want to live?
Do you have any friends on the internet that live any place interesting?
No.
What's the weather like in Bumfuck?
Yeah.
Not too different from here.
So here's the thing. On the internet, there are a great number of resources. First thing I should probably ask you, if you want to be a voice actor, do you have tools at your disposal to create a home studio?
I bet if I saved up enough money, I could just make one.
You know what? Listen, go on eBay, start looking things up. Go on places like voice123.com, go on voices.com. Many people have demos on there, and spend some time listening to other people's voice demos. You're going to listen to a lot. Some of you are going to say, wow, that's really good. Other people you're going to listen to, you're going to say, I could do that. And when you hear the people, when you say, I can do that, or the ones that you wish to aspire to, make a mental note of how they did that demo. It's normally small clips, 15 seconds each, that make up about, at the most, a 2-minute demo. Because odds are, if somebody's listening to your demo, they maybe listen to what? If you're lucky, 30 seconds of it to get a feel of who you are. So listen to what these people are doing on their voice demos, because those are the tools of their trade. In any business that you try to get into, the best thing to do is look at people who have succeeded at that, and how are they doing it? They've already laid out a roadmap. They are the Siri, the GLaDOS of the traffic direction, if you will, of getting you to where you've got to go. These people are already doing it. To go onto eBay and look up people who have already done home studios and find microphones that are in your price range. Start doing research. I go on Sweetwater, or I Google a certain thing, best mic for home studio. Then I look them up. Then I look up reviews and what people say. Find yourself a microphone that works. Get yourself, if you can't get a whisper room or a booth in your home and you can't afford that, get like an SE reflection filter that gets rid of that sound. When you hear people recording at home and it sounds really tinny or echoey, it's because that's the sound bouncing off of the walls. So you get a nice reflection filter which goes around your microphone and deadens the sound, which makes a $250 mic sound like a $2,000 mic. So imagine what it would do for a $2,000 mic. Now, you don't have to spend all this much money. If you find the items that you want, you can then look for them on eBay. I have a great processor in my home that was once owned by Johnny Resnick from the Goo Goo Dolls, and I bought it from him on eBay for about a third of the price that it normally would have cost. My processor feels it's in retirement now, with the things that I do on it. But you can build, I would say, a really good home studio for about $1,000 if you do your research, you put it together, and then you need to work on building a tape. Getting a good class. You guys would agree that you find someone, if you take some class, we're going to be doing a workshop tomorrow, in fact.
Right.
But you find a class or find somebody who can help train you to get your voice to where you want to be. In the meantime, if you have a smartphone.
Don't.
Well, do you have a tape recorder, a cassette recorder, anything that you can record your voice on and listen to it back? Get used to your voice and what it sounds like, because it doesn't sound the same in a microphone as it does from inside your skull.
And I think basically what he's saying is people who dream about building castles sit around and dream about building castles. People who build castles make a brick.
Yeah.
And then they make another brick. Okay, I mean, it's easy to say, oh, well, that stuff is so expensive I can never do it. Save 10% of your money. I don't care how much money you make. You can live on 90% of the money that you make. Put the other 10% in the bank. After a while, you have $1,000. You build your studio. After a while, you have another $600. You make a voice demo. After a while, you have a couple $1,000. You move to New York. Save up your money, and I mean, if you want to do it, do it. It's scary in this culture that we have access to experts, and we think that the experts were born on the expert planet, and they all got jobs that were really cool. Actually, 63 years ago, I was crapping in my diaper, and somehow, oh yeah, and sometimes not in my diaper. And I got to where I am now. I mean, it's one step at a time, one step at a time. And I know I love seeing all the excitement when people meet us and stuff like that, and it's wonderful, and it's great energy, but we're not magic beings. We're just dudes and dudesses up here, that happen to get this work, and we got this work by applying for it. You have to audition. Ultimately, you have to
and
audition.
as John says, one step at a time, one brick at a time.
And I think the fear that the dream won't be realized, that as long as we don't try, there's always a possibility that we could have been something, is the better thing is to try. And the thing is, if you don't end up being a voice actor, maybe you'll end up doing something else that's just as cool.
I was just going to say that kind of thing, because you can get into one thing and find yourself someplace else because you get your attention, and you said everything's just a wash. The market is jammed. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there trying to do the same thing. So stick out, somehow, and make it your own thing.
With a sore thumb. I actually feel a lot better.
You know what? Remember this one thing. It's great to be a dreamer, okay? It's even better to be a practical dreamer. Seriously, let the heart want and send you in the direction you want to be, but let the head work out the details.
Good luck to you.
Good luck, Vincent.
Hi, I'm Jack.
Hi, Jack.
Hi, Jack.
I was just wondering what you guys would say the most fun character you ever got to voice was.
Ooh, that's hard. That's like choosing children. I mean, I'll only speak for myself, but I feel like every character that I've gotten to play has allowed me to bring out a different part of myself. So it's just kind of based on even like how I feel today. How I feel today is like, I just recently finished Life is Strange, so I'm very attached to Chloe, and so she's very much on my mind. But Tina, I saw someone cosplaying as Tina. You're the best, you look awesome. Tina's my first character, and she's super, super fun, and so it's hard to pick.
Mine are just, sometimes your most recent thing is the freshest, but I really enjoyed doing the Minuteman because usually I'm called on to do novelty, strange, voices that are strenuous, maybe, a lot of screaming or this and that. And like people were amazed at Gob, how do you do that? Well, I just do it, it just, it doesn't hurt. But doing the Rinnet Man was the one of the only times I've been called on to do a really normal, not out of the way voice, just an FM DJ. And that was fun, because I've always loved that kind of projection. That's me.
I have to agree with our friends up here that it's hard to say some characters aren't your favorite, because there is cool stuff that you get to do with everybody. I've spent the most time being the sniper, and I think that any part that you get to explore more than others is cool. So I guess I have a special fondness for him.
And I like doing the administrator in TF2 because she's so angry. And she has no filters. It's like she's angry with the players, and you get that. It's actually hard on my voice. I'm very tired at the end of a session when I've done the administrator. GLaDOS is easier to do because GLaDOS, besides being sarcastic, she's rather emotionless, which is sort of an interesting place to go. When I do GLaDOS in the studio, sometimes the writers will tell me, "You're not doing GLaDOS anymore, Ellen, you're just doing you." So I have to be careful of that.
How about you, Jan?
Just to agree, actually, with what Ashley was saying, it is hard to find one that is your favorite, because they are, in fact, so close to your heart. I guess the ones that I tend to, I don't know, it's like the ones you feel like you leave a piece of yourself in, and it's just like and generally they're not ones that are like, oh, I'm doing this crazy voice, or it's just like you're so genuinely in the moment, and the writing's so good, and you know where you are, who you are, all that good stuff, and it's just that marriage of all those elements coming together. It's a true scene, true acting, and those are my favorite when I get the chance to do it.
I do feel torn myself, because you try to make every different character something unique. I have a special soft spot for Lucien LeChance, because he was the first that I got to break away in the Elder Scrolls as a character who was a little different. Everything else they were doing the different races, and everybody sort of sounded the same. But Lucien, they were like, this guy's a little more evil, so they let me come in and play with him. And in my mind, I thought this decrepit, horrifying, wonderful to see you, dear child, Sithis. And then they put him in this gorgeous body, and women were like, oh my God, he's completely evil and gorgeous. I love him. Which explains a whole lot about how things went for me in my younger days,
Right.
trying to find a date. But I mean,
Because you're good and repulsive.
yeah, absolutely. I have somehow inverted that mixture, and it hasn't worked for me at all. But I loved Shea Gorath out of everyone I've done. I mean, if you're looking for like a fun character to do, somebody who's mixing a little bit of Scottish and a little bit of Irish together, and you don't know whether he's going to be insane or malevolent or just right somewhere calm in the middle, which, as you know from GLaDOS, is one of the most dangerous places to be, that little calm spot where you don't know where they're going to go. That is fun, and when you can get a role that somebody allows you to really sink your teeth into, because, guys, you can back me up on this, when you get a video game role, a lot of the times you end up walking into the studio and they go, here's the script, what do you got? And you're making up characters on the spot. So improvisation, character building that you've done in the past really comes into play. With Shea Gorath, they gave me a little bit advance notice. They said, we want something more like Robin Williams. He's more of a crazy stand-up guy. And I thought, Robin is so gentle and sweet, even when he's being supposedly a little dangerous. And I thought, who's a stand-up comedian, if they want that, who might scare somebody? And I thought immediately of Billy Connolly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Good choice.
And so I took a basis of Billy Connolly, mixed in some guys that I knew from a local Irish pub, and then just really let this guy go back and forth. Sometimes in a booth, which is very small, it can open up. I don't remember the Shea Gorath sessions as being in a small booth. I think of them in wide open spaces because I wasn't there. I was off in my head somewhere else and just diving in and having fun. So that's when they can be fun, when you are so invested and you've so developed something that you forget you're there, you forget who you are, you become that individual.
And the most fun that I have in a booth is when I scare the crap out of the writers.
Yes.
Because the writers know what's coming. And if you scare the crap out of them, then you know that you got it right. So.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Jack.
Hello, I'm Aiden.
Hi,
Aiden.
All of you are most well known for your video game performances, but I was wondering if there were any non-video game performances that you wish more people knew that you were from.
I did a very interesting little short film called The Maury Island Incident about the very first sighting of a flying saucer and the very first reference to a man in black. This is a historical thing that happened in 1947, and I got to play J. Edgar Hoover. It's on Hulu and Vimeo, and so if you have a chance to check it out, it's a nice little 28-minute long film, and they're trying to expand it and turn it into a series or a film or something like that. But check it out; it's fun. It's cool and creepy.
And I'm in a film called Winning Dad, and I'm the mother of 2 adult children, and it's about my son having a relationship with another man and their love affair, which leads to, we don't know what it leads to yet because I don't want to spoiler, but it's called Winning Dad, and I'm very proud of that work.
Give it up, give it up. I've done a lot of various things in just performance because that's what I was in for in the first place. Started doing stand-up comedy. I wish that recording was as ubiquitous and inevitable as it is now because we had our own little thunder in the DC market back in the day, back in the 80s and into the early 90s. And that was fun, and we were really big and strong, at least on a little level. And I wish there were more recordings of that. I'm fortunate enough to be in a John Waters film, A Dirty Shame. I'm real proud of that. I actually occupy the screen for a couple seconds. It's great. It's kind of hideous. And there are so many little things I've done along the way that really weren't so little. Things like the Daily Feed with John Dryden and just little projects I've done. You always wish things could, go up there and float higher and be seen by more. But nowadays, everybody can do, put out everything. Now it's just a case of, do you stick out and be seen and remembered? But that's a really good question. I'm just proud of everything I've done, really.
Boy, that's not true for me.
Okay, well, I'd modify that.
I've been doing a lot of work with Rocket Jump, which, if you don't know, is Freddie Wong's, thanks one guy, is Freddie Wong's production company. And we released a show on Hulu recently called Rocket Jump the Show, which is part documentary and part shorts. And I directed one of the shorts. It's called Fan Friction, and I'm also in it. I'm very, very proud of it. It's on YouTube now to be watched by all. But the full Hulu episode is only on Hulu. I'm not a Hulu spokesman, I'm sorry. This is going on longer than I intended. Anyway, that's something that happened recently that I'm proud of. And I'm also in Over the Garden Wall for like 5 seconds, but mostly you should just watch that show because it's incredible. It's a really, really incredible show.
Yes, it is.
So I'm just really proud to even be barely associated with that show because it's amazing. But yeah, I'm like 3 random characters in the 9th episode. But just watch it because it's really good. Not because of me. It's just really good.
I've been working on a couple cartoons for DreamWorks TV. A couple of them by Jimbo Madison, who's based out of New York. He's an incredible creative force of nature that I can't explain. And so I'm on the lead character in a cartoon that's coming out soon called Jet Bear. I'm Jet Bear, which is crazy. I'm so excited for that one. And then there's Public Pool, which is David Fremont, who's based out of LA. And it's a lot of really, really fun content that they have. It's just like there's so much on DreamWorks TV. It's like hard to filter through, and so I'm proud of that. It's fun work.
Like Mike Rawson, I was in the film A Dirty Shame.
Yeah,
I got to play Selma Blair's biker boyfriend in an NC-17 film. Like, that'll ever happen again. I had
Awesome,
the name of Fat Fuck Frank. And I got to work with Tracy Ullman, who is a personal hero of mine,
Yes,
and do
indeed.
scenes with her, and had to give her a ride somewhere one day, and I was suddenly going, did I clean my car? Did I clean my car? Yes. So it worked out.
Is there going to be a showing of that?
Well, it's sort of an unofficial thing, but after my midnight panel tonight, we may just show A Dirty Shame because a friend of mine surprisingly brought a copy of it today. To give you an idea of what a fine, wholesome family film this is, there's the one scene in the bar where Selma Blair, with gigundous fake breast, is titty whipping me. And they do this whole scene, and she's banging me with these things, which are just basically like giant soccer boppers with a nipple on the end of each one. And after the scene, John Waters or someone, the AD, second AD, goes, do we want to get a safety on that? And John Waters goes, no, those things are too expensive to waste on Wes's head.
Thank you very much.
And I can
Thank you.
attest that it's a wonderful film.
It
and
is one of
very,
it is one of the
very
most
funny.
subtly nuanced exposés of modern human behavior that you're going to find.
Yeah. It's all about the subtlety. Some
Yeah.
people thought it was a documentary.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, just the irony of the nickname Fat Fuck Frank. I mean, it's obviously, he's a very skinny person, and they're calling, and he's never fornicated with anyone in his life.
John brought actual bikers there that were from Harford Road, and with names like Kilgrave and this and that, and I walked over and was chatting with them, and I had my bootlaces untied. Why? Because it's funny, and as an actor, they're funny, and he's like, your laces are untied, and I'm like, oh yeah, because it's kind of funny because it's not funny. You could get those things caught up in your chain and die or kill somebody else. You think that's funny? And I was like, oh, hey, they're calling me in the other room.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Steve.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
I've been fortunate to score a lead role in my first stage performance, and I'm over the top about it. I'm thrilled. And it's lit a fire within me to pursue more formal acting classes or opportunities. I have plans to take an improv course just to work more on character development. And you had mentioned particular workshops to work with a voice coach. Could you elaborate more on what other things you can do from a formal acting perspective that I could work that you use to help build my resume? And if I may ask a second, I'm sorry. The curse of having a deep voice and growing up in the Northeast, I mumble a lot. What tips do you have to help with enunciation?
Well, I'll take the enunciation one. It's interesting. Doing dialect work is all about learning how other people speak. If you're going to be a voice actor, you're going to be speaking like other people speak a lot. And one of the ways that other people speak besides you is they enunciate better.
Not in particular. That wasn't a personal thing. Yeah.
No, but this is the problem that you have defined, right? So one of the things that we do as human beings who are not professional speakers is we will tend to run out of energy before the ends of our words. One of my favorite stories about my beautiful wife is we were getting car insurance, and the insurance salesman was sitting on the other side of the table, and he asked Ellen, "And what kind of car do you have?" And she said, "A Ford." and I said, "I'm sorry, a Chevy?" but so pushing your energy through the end of the line is what speakers do. I mean, what you learn to do when you work on stage is drive the energy through the end of the line. Now, that being said, Marlon Brando had a great career mumbling. So it's all, I mean, and that's...
Breath control has a lot to do with that too, doesn't it?
Right,
Yeah.
right. But this is, I mean, on stage, you use breath control because you need to communicate to the back of the room. On film, you're really trying to be as realistic a depiction of human behavior as you can, and often that involves mumbling. So you want to keep mumbling as one of your tools, as one of the ways that you speak, and you want to figure out how to enunciate as another way that you speak, because you're going to be speaking a lot of different ways.
Yeah,
And absolutely acting class. It is called voice acting. So, acting classes, absolutely.
It can do no harm to set little challenges for yourself. I like to recite long things, or pick something really difficult and memorize it, and things that require strict enunciation, like Tom Lair's The Elements. You know, there's antimony, arsenic, aluminum, selenium, and hydrogen, and oxygen, and nitrogen, and rhenium, and you know, just do things like that.
And if you
local
continue doing them
calisthenics.
like that on the subway, you get a seat to yourself.
You know, but set little challenges that don't mean anything except to you, because you got it now. You know, that helps me. I complain too much about people who don't enunciate enough, and you know, so do it, please. And there are things.
Anyone
available.
else
Take a
with
class, for sure.
sorry, Mike's.
Yeah, no, I'm just.
Still time
agreeing.
to go.
Yeah. I don't know.
So bye.
Yeah, I remember.
I have a problem with talking very fast, and it's only something that I'm learning to do more. And at least for me, the thing that I find is that if I force myself to slow down to the point where it feels unnatural, then it's probably the normal speed for everyone else on the planet. So it's basically just training yourself to. You might sometimes get the direction, like go bigger than you think you need to, or whatever it happens to be. So even if it feels uncomfortable, it might be getting you more to a point. So if you feel like you're completely mumbling and someone's like, enunciate more than you think that you need to, then you might be getting closer to where you actually need to be for the role. And also if you record yourself speaking and play it back and then try different levels of enunciation to see where you feel like, and you could even play it to friends and be like, do I sound like a crazy person in this recording? And they might be like, no, you actually sound like a real person for the first time that I've spoken to. So getting sanity checks with that kind of thing. But to me, it's mostly massaging the instinct of like, that sounds so slow to me. But for everyone else, it's like actual conversational speed. So yeah, just kind of getting used to the discomfort of that. And then eventually you'll kind of widen your ability to oscillate between the two.
Yeah, the story about Ellen with the Ford is very interesting, because a hard consonant at the end of a sentence sometimes is the most difficult thing conversationally to do, because you're not used to that. You're used to letting that hard consonant just drop off the end of the cliff in normal conversation. So practice that, and it was good what Ashley said, listen to yourself back, because what you say and feels unnatural or maybe over the top to you could sound perfectly natural on tape. It's something that's trial and error. And in regard to the mumble or things you have still, they're correct. Keep it in your repertoire, because if you want to be a voice actor, there are many places where not being able to enunciate might help. Hermes Mura never met a consonant he would not ignore. So these things can work for you if you wish to be a commercial actor. Enunciation is essential, unless you're playing a character who doesn't enunciate. So practice everything and have a large amount of weapons at your disposal when it comes to speaking in front of the mic.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, Bob. Great hat.
I've been sober for 23 years.
Yeah.
Well, now you're at MAGFest, so say goodbye to that.
I was wondering, how often do you guys tend to switch voices in the middle of a sentence through your day-to-day life? Or even
Oh,
like
man.
start singing to yourself about what you're doing?
don't
I
even
only
know
work
this.
when people pay me.
I don't even notice anymore, honestly. I made I became friends with, I know he's been here before actually, Matt Mercer, and I was like, wow, Matt really switches between voices a lot when he speaks. It's so cool. And then my friend was like, you do that. And I was like, I do? And they're like, yeah, you're literally doing voices all the time. I'm blind to it now. I have no idea what I'm doing it.
I grew up, doing, we called them impressions. It was really mockery, with my brothers of things. And we would always do it. And it becomes unconscious sometimes. You just switch or imitate someone's way. You can fall into that not trying to do it. Like when you hang with someone with a real strong accent, you start to reflect it, just not even trying to.
Yeah, that's the other. I have no idea how I talked as a child anymore because I've been doing dialects for so long that I have some sort of conglomerate dialect that I use now.
Radio voice.
Yeah, I don't really go between the voices a lot unless I'm feeling nervous or uncomfortable about what I'm saying. You ever notice that? When you're just being yourself and you're comfortable and you're confident with what you're saying, I'll just be myself, but suddenly you're like, yeah, well, the check's in the mail, I must say. It changes when you feel a little uncomfortable and you go to your old standbys, which in most cases, probably for all of us, is a different voice and somebody else. See what I just did there? I became somebody.
That's true.
Yeah, I think if you can do other voices, it does become a defense mechanism. I understand
Yes,
that.
yeah.
If you're nervous or something like that, you can always disappear and become a performer, start performing instead of actually being there with the people that you're with. Is that?
That's true.
Yeah.
Like saying hello to someone that you're not really all that friendly with, you put on an accent. Hello, hello. Yeah, it's true.
Thank you. And on the topic of being nervous, Wes, I just want to say I find you very attractive and would love to give you a smooch with your permission.
Well, now we're both nervous.
Hello, I'm Jeremy.
Hi, Jeremy.
Hi, Jeremy.
Hello. So I already have briefly been able to speak to Wes and John a little bit about voice acting. I've been voice acting my entire life. It all started when I was little, watching crappy Godzilla dubs and redubbing the movies myself. And I spend 40% of my time talking as different characters, and just, you referenced like being able to just get a script, be like, come up with a character. And then even Matt Mercer referenced last year how sometimes he catches himself yelling at himself in the car. He looks like a maniac, but he's practicing voices. I do that all the time too. So my coworkers think I'm insane. But it's something I love to do. Recently I got the opportunity to be on a project to voice act all the characters, all the monsters in the game. And I loved it.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
way to go.
And it was a thrill. I loved every step of it. But I live in the middle of nowhere, as I spoke with John yesterday about, and what's the next step? Like, how did you guys all break into the industry? That's what I'm curious about. A lot of my other questions have been answered on my eternal wait in the line.
Well, John and I moved to Seattle because we wanted to live someplace beautiful. And we had been living in New York, and work kept separating us, and we didn't like that. So we chose Seattle because we heard it was a good theater town, and lo and behold, it became a center of video games and voice acting. So we kind of just fell into it. I really do want to tell people, and Vincent, you're one of the people that I said this to, where do you want to live? Yes, you need to live in an area, an urban area that's big enough to support work like this. But ultimately, you should choose a place that you want to live. I mean, we just do this once, so make yourself happy.
And remember that if you move to a place where there's a lot of voice acting work, you're going to be moving to a place where there are a lot of people who want to do voice acting work. It's not that the competition is going to go down, it's just that the opportunities are going to go up. But I think, particularly for young people, when you're young is the easiest time to move someplace else. And if you want to pursue something, whatever it is, you want to go to where that's happening. And, yeah, it's terrifying. Great, it's terrifying. Go do it and be terrified. Because it's voice acting is a hard thing to break into. So start now. If you start later, it's not going to get any easier.
there are always opportunities in places where you are, but that may not be what you want to do. I kind of lucked out. I was in LA for a while. I came back to the DC area because my kids got a better education here without getting shot. I thought that was important. And also, I do this little thing with the Washington Capitals where I announce the goals and the arena and all that.
Hometown crowd.
There was this young kid by the name of Ovechkin who was going to start when they came back from the lockout, and I thought, I'll see how this guy turns out. We'll see how that works. And so far, so good. That being said, I thought I was giving up a lot of opportunities when I came. No, it's true. When I came back to the DC area, I thought I was giving up a lot of opportunities in LA because I'd already had a voice agent there. I had a number of, you've got to get into the machinery. You've got to use the tools of the trade to your benefit once you're somewhere. And I thought I was giving that up. But there was this company in this town that was starting to do video games, and it was smaller at the time. So they started casting locally, and they used a casting agency. And they brought me in to do a game called Morrowind. And then from Morrowind, I did Oblivion. And then I started doing games for other people because word of mouth spread. Now, a casting agency got me into that there. What's ironic is I'm now getting more work. I did voice work for America's Most Wanted, which ended up getting me a job doing some voice work on Phineas and Ferb, and they used me here. But you can do your work from anywhere if you get a foothold, and that's the toughest thing. Finding a location where you can work and maybe not have to compete as much as LA or New York can be good for you, but at a certain point, to go to that next level, you may have to make that move. I'm in a position now where some of the games I want to be involved in, I can't necessarily be involved in because I'm on the East Coast. And evidently people on the West Coast have not heard of a thing called ISDN. No, I need to have him physically in the booth with me so we can feel each other's vibe. No, I'm feeling your vibe right now, dude. I'm feeling it pretty good. So where do you live, if I may ask?
York, Pennsylvania. So
Pennsylvania's a great place. How far away from Philadelphia are you?
Couple hours.
Couple hours. Start looking around Philadelphia and exploring what's available there. You can do a lot of voice work there while you're in that area. Build yourself a bit of a resume, and then start moving to other places. I got a lot more interest when I went out to Los Angeles because of the work I was able to do here. I was on shows like America's Most Wanted. I was doing Veep. I did The Wire, Homicide, shows that were in this area. New York, you're not too far from New York. You can still look in that area. There are companies that are springing up and around everywhere. Google might be your friend right now. Start looking for video game companies. Start looking for casting agencies. Start looking around for people, even if you want to who might be doing new startups in video game companies and build with them. Because there's no one way to get anywhere. At a certain point, you're going to want to grow and leapfrog off of that. But it seems to me, since you've already gotten one game, that you have already started to forge your own path. And everybody's path is different, but we all eventually want to be in the same place, right? Enjoying the journey is important.
And you got to ask yourself, when you're 80 years old, what do you want to say? I gave it a shot and I couldn't figure it out. Or I never had the guts to try.
Jim
give it a
Carrey
shot.
hasn't really, he gave a speech, I think, at a college, and he spoke about his father. You guys might have heard, I can't remember what his father did, but basically, he wanted to be an actor. He wanted to be some sort of creative profession. And he was scared about the risk, and he was scared about all these things, so he never did it. And then he ended up getting fired from his stable job. And basically, the thesis of the talk being, you can fail at something that you don't love, so why not try for something that you do? And that is kind of just the way you want to try to live, and failure isn't even a bad thing, but the lack of trying is the thing you'll regret more than anything.
And that's basically the point I'm at. I'm tired of doing what I'm not happy with, and I know I'd be happy doing this. So.
Be a maniac.
Yeah. Sometimes the universe will push you out of something comfortable because you're not meant to be there.
Yep.
You know, I mean, getting fired may have been the best thing because you weren't supposed to be there. You're supposed to move on, and you're not there, so fired is probably a favor sometimes. I had a dream
Yes,
once.
it is.
I got stressed out on a job. I was doing traffic on the radio, and they were sending me up in airplanes, 3,000 feet in the air in an airplane that looked like it was a VW Bug with wings.
Yeah.
And I was so stressed out that I took a week's vacation to think about things. And I had a dream that I got a call about a job, and they said, you have to make up your mind, you have to do it right now. And in my dream, I walked into the office of my current boss. I said, I can't do this anymore. I have to go. He said, you sure? I said, yes. He said, thank you. And I walked out, and I felt the weight of the world just flying off of my shoulders. And a day later, I got a call from a movie company who wanted me to come work as a photo double for a full month on the movie The Replacements. And I couldn't do that and do this at the same time. And I thought, I was trying to send myself a message. So in a scene that was very reminiscent of the dream, I walked into that office, I resigned that job, and I walked out with that feeling of, and here's the thing, every once in a while in life, you have to decide to jump off that bridge whether you know the bungee cord is tied or not. You've got to take a leap. If you think in your heart this is what you want to do. Some people will never, ever take that leap because it's comfortable and warm on that bridge. But you know what? I don't think anyone has ever failed by following their heart. They may not have succeeded at what they wanted to do, but they didn't fail. Failure is not trying.
Good luck to you, bud.
Thank you.
Hi. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Sorry. My name is Ian.
Hi,
Hi.
Ian. Hello, Ian.
I had a question for specifically Ashley, but generally for everybody on the panel. What keeps you going in the profession you're in? Why, like, what?
Cocaine.
What is the thing that keeps you going, and are you as interested and in love with voice acting as you were at your first job?
Well, voice acting is one of the best jobs in the world, I think, for many reasons. There are obviously sessions where you're screaming for 2 hours, and it's not necessarily as creatively fulfilling as you anticipated it being when you were, 10 and playing Metal Gear Solid, if you're me. But the thing that I'm incredibly grateful for is that I get to work with really amazing, talented people, that I've gotten to voice some really compelling and wonderful characters. But more honestly, more than that, it's that the work that I've done and the projects that I've been a part of inspire people to dress up like the characters that are in the game. I get emails that, like, especially with Life is Strange, that that game helped people not feel alone. To me, and I write and I do other things as well, but to me the most important part about art is enriching the lives of the people that consume it. And principally making people feel like they're not alone in the world is one of the most powerful things about art. And anytime I come to a place like this, or I experience art for myself that makes me feel that way, it's invigorating, it's enriching, and it's a reminder that the work matters. So even if sometimes, you go into a session and you're just screaming grenade for 2 hours and you're like, my throat hurts so much, what is going on? Then the next week you might go in and you'll voice a character in a cartoon episode that's a really, really meaningful and personal story for the writer, and it's always ups and downs, but you kind of just have to find true north and keep
But
walking
it is
that way.
important that people know there's a grenade.
That's true. Otherwise, they might die. So really, it's all important. No, but yeah, you just have to find true north. I mean, this industry is very hard to get into, particularly on the film side. It can be very existentially harrowing to be constantly evaluated based on your appearance or whatever it happens to be. And so I think to get into this work, you really need to love it and to love the effect that art can have. And I know it sounds kind of pretentious in a way, but truly it is. I mean, I'm a gamer, and I've been a gamer my entire life, and there have been games that have actually legitimately changed my life. And so I think you kind of have to be in it for the love of it, not for fame or money or any other things that you might incidentally get from it.
Yeah, I mean, I do it because I love it, you know. There are jobs that will feed your body and jobs that will feed your soul. And doing acting of any kind feeds the soul. We're here today because we're voice actors, but I think everybody is here as a voice actor because they're an actor to begin with. And I grew up wanting to act, to tell stories, to make people laugh, you know, because when you're making people laugh, you're sharing a laugh with them. That's one of the most wonderful feelings in the world. You don't get that right away with film or with video games, but I got to tell you, playing a game, first of all, one of the games that I loved so much in the past several years, I wasn't even in, it was Red Dead Redemption. I love that game. And I loved it because it was so immersive. It was like going somewhere else, being someone else. When I play a game that I'm in, I don't listen to my voice. I'm the person, you know, with the thumbs. I'm the person who's playing the game. I get into that. I love being able to talk to people about the games I've done, not so much because I want to hear what they thought of what I did. I'm sharing an experience with them, you know? Playing that game, being in that world. And I've seen people out here with the Silver Shroud outfits, and they love the character and they love that quest, and I'm like, I know, right? Wasn't that awesome? It was great because I'm more involved with it after the fact as a player and than I am actually voicing it. But those moments in the booth, those moments when you get a role and when you get to share a community of people creating, that's the whole reason that we do everything we do. You pay dues getting there, and you continue paying dues once you get there. That whole you stop paying dues, that never happens, right? No, you constantly pay the dues. But man, if you love it, if that's what you want to do, so worth it. Those few moments of creating with wonderful people are so worth it.
Yeah. It keeps you going just by being so cool. You know, if you love doing it, you love keeping on doing it.
Hello, my name is Blake.
Hi, Blake.
Hello, Blake.
I live in Virginia, and I really appreciate your work. I just wanted to say that, first off. Second off, you mentioned earlier impersonations. That's why I'm here. I actually love doing impersonations. Ironically, of most of your characters.
I think I speak for all of us when I say we want to hear them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Please.
Pull that microphone off the hold it in your hand.
All right, give me a character to do.
Well, you see us up here. Just look at each of us and give us one of our characters.
Hello, Mr. Johnson. Where's my cake? You promised cake.
Very nice.
Medic! Piss off, you bloody wankers.
Get up on that microphone there, sir.
How about you guys give me a voice to do? Because I
What's
kinda
that?
forgot some of your characters.
I love all your work, whatever it is. Do you know Mike over there? Gob, can you do one of the ghouls?
Hey, smooth skin. What, you're not gonna call me ugly or shout swear words at me? Huh, you're really nice. Don't tell Moriarty, but I'll give you a discount.
Good. Pretty good.
How's your Shea Gorath?
Not familiar with that one.
It's a very obscure character. Don't worry about it. That's cool. So what is your favorite voice to do? What do you like to do?
I don't know. It generally depends on my mood or what game I'm playing. Sometimes I'll be playing a game and I'll just randomly start talking in a character's voice. Or to impress my friends, I'll walk up to them and surprise them with one of their favorite characters.
That's always great when they don't know you're coming.
You don't look very old to me. Are you still in high school?
I'm actually in middle school.
Wow.
Well, but I know you're starting just the way a lot of us did. Certainly my husband. That's what he would always do, just do voices when he was your age. So that's a great way to start. And the advice that was given to others, in the line today is start recording yourself.
Yeah.
And listen. And if you are playing a game and you're starting to do the voice because you feel it coming on, because it really is a feeling, it really comes from the core, stop, record yourself, and see if you think that sounds accurate or not.
I will do that, thank you.
And think of your friends that you're messing with as your first audience. Okay? Well,
That I
you're
definitely
just
do.
going to graduate from audiences of people you know to audiences of people you don't know. Okay?
What are you doing tomorrow morning at 10:30? I know you're still in middle school, so you won't be hungover like everybody else out there.
You don't
Well,
know that.
let me actually check, seeing as I've been trying to keep a tight schedule.
I say, well, tomorrow at 10:30, the three of us are going to be doing a video game actor workshop. So why don't you come on over? We'll give you some scripts, and you can play around with some voices and get some tips.
I will do that, because I actually don't have anything planned for tomorrow, so
Excellent. We look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
I'll see you tomorrow then.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Sup? Does this work? Yeah, it works. Cool. I have a very, very important question for all of you. What is your favorite cookie?
Our favorite what?
Cookie.
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 Food.
Oh
It's a
my.
very important question. You're right. You're absolutely right. Not oatmeal raisin. Never, never oatmeal raisin. That was just real life. That wasn't even Tina. That's just me. That's just my opinion that I hold. Chocolate chip cookies, for sure, 100%.
Well, you know what the problem is with oatmeal raisin cookies?
Is they fake you out.
masquerade as chocolate chip cookies.
Exactly. Exactly.
We've all felt that pain, haven't we?
Yes. I'm scarred every time it happens.
I love a chocolate chip cookie, but I got to tell you, there's nothing better than a chocolate chip cookie that is a little bit crispy and has chocolate chunks the size of your fist. It has to be large. The ones that are stingy with the little tiny flecks of chocolate, that's a crime. Nobody gets into a chocolate chip cookie for the cookie. They want the chocolate. Now, if you ever take the chocolate chip cookie, you ever seen the one where you take a little peanut butter and put it right in the middle of it? Yes. That's lovely.
My mother cooked chocolate chip cookies, Toll House cookies, when I was growing up. She always put walnuts in them, and those have always been a favorite of mine. But I have to say, I am with her. I mean, the masquerading. I mean, the vicious, dishonest behavior of oatmeal raisin cookies needs to be shouted from the highest treetop. We need to bring these cookies down.
But, John, they're healthy for you.
This is going to break your grandma's heart. You know that, don't you?
Grandmas don't know. Grandmas are wonderful, lovely, warm ladies, but they don't know if they're bringing you oatmeal cookies, what a big crime that is, because these are the same women who have a little bowl full of hard candy that if you try to pick up one piece, everything comes with it. It's all stuck together. Now, have one, sure. Grandma's in league with the dentist. So,
look
did you
fantastic,
actually
by the
bring
way.
cookies today?
I like all cookies.
Really?
Sure, snickerdoodles, Oreos, Mexican tea cakes. What is it? But no, I think it's Mexican wedding cookies and Russian tea cakes, which are very similar.
Actually, like
Shortbread, Scottish shortbread.
Yes, yes, and the Danish butter cookies. Those
Yeah.
are
Oh, yes, Danish. But so don't make me choose.
I have a thing with raisins in general in desserts. I don't know what, like when they get bloated and fat in something. It's like, is this a fly? Is this like roach? What is this?
Yeah, be honest. We're all afraid that raisin is going to suddenly run away.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You look awesome.
We hope our answers make you a better voice actor.
Hi, my name is Josh.
Hey,
Hi, Josh.
So, as a classically trained singer and as someone who's done a little bit of voiceover work for just small, side projects, I'm always exploring what the limitations of my voice is and how I can either overcome those limitations or I can work with them and use them to my advantage. I'd like to know if any of you have stories about hitting some sort of limitation in what it is you can do and how you either overcame that or how you worked with it to create something.
Well, all of us have a limitation in range.
Yeah.
And as a singer, you know that. I mean, your range is your range. It changes a bit during your lifetime, but, I would not think of that as a limitation. I would just think of that as your area of expertise.
And you can stretch the range a bit, by if you don't usually talk falsetto, then after years and years you won't be able to do it as easily as you did. I'm singing with a band for the last 5 years, and that really challenged. I sing higher than I comfortably do with them, and it gets easier and easier, and I love the feeling of singing up high. And you would know better, being formally trained, that you can stretch it, but only so far. What limitations are you talking about besides just range?
There wasn't anything specific. I was just, there was an earlier panel about 8-bit composers, especially around the Nintendo era, and how they would use the limitations of the medium to, Nintendo music, to inspire their compositions. Nintendo and Super Nintendo music tends to be a little more melodious and use the fact that you only have 3 channels of sound and 1 channel of drums. So I was curious as to how that can work.
Well, there was one session that I went in to do 4 characters for Dota 2, and leading up to the session, I just had a really bad chest cold and a really bad cough, and I'd lost the middle of my voice. And so I had done 3 characters, but they were like Doom and Earthshaker, and they're all very down in the very bottom. And they wanted to do something different for Storm Spirit, and so Storm Spirit became who he was because that was the other part of my voice that I had, which was right up here. Storm Spirit became the master thespian because I could talk up there, and I couldn't talk where I normally talk. But really, the one thing I say to people is you don't have to have any particular kind of voice to be a voice actor. They need actors to play people, and they need voice actors to play people, and people have all kinds of voices. I'm not going to get the parts that they call in Ellen for, or you guys for, or you for. I mean, we each have our own voice, and it's one of the things that a voice actor can do. I mean, I did 13 different characters in one session for The Suffering, and that means calling up every dialect you know and every speed that you can speak. I mean, there's the melody of the speech, there's the rhythm, and everything, and so you can study that stuff. But ultimately, they're going to call you in for people who sound fairly like you. And to everybody out there, if you have a voice, you can be a voice actor. You just need to learn how to act.
I would.
I'm sorry. I was just going to ask, are you going to sing opera? Are you going for that? Or?
I studied music education in college. I'm switching more into a technical field, but I hope to be a private voice teacher. I sing in Philadelphia in some choirs, and mostly at this point just for my own fulfillment.
Sorry, Jan, I didn't mean to step
No
on you.
worries. I was just going to say that anyone that, in my point of view, when it comes to acting, voiceover in general, having a musical background is so very helpful in knowing the placement of where the sound's coming from.
Well, when I can't remember which of you had mentioned about to one of the other people about diction and enunciation, that is, if you want my advice, I would take voice lessons because that helps a lot with enunciation.
And breath.
Yeah,
And,
and all that stuff.
Very true.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jesse.
Hi, Jesse.
Hi, Jesse.
From Brooklyn, New York. And I was wondering what inspired you all to become voice actors?
Mostly my face.
I'm the only person I've ever met who got into acting because the pay is better and the work is steadier. But that's because before I was an actor, I was a jazz guitarist. So I've always loved, actually, ever since I saw the movie when I was 10 years old of My Fair Lady, where the story is actually about a professor teaching someone how to speak differently, it got me fascinated by the fact that people speak differently. And I've been interested in dialect work ever since.
And I was a singer. I always loved to sing from my earliest years. That's what I wanted to do. And then John made me get a voice demo in 2002. So that's how I got into voice acting. Because I was always on stage, singing.
The thing is, since I was a little kid, I would take cassette players. I remember getting one for Christmas one year when I was probably about 7. And I would take that thing and I'd make my own radio programs. I'd do voices talking back and forth to each other. I didn't necessarily want to get into voice acting or anything of that sort. I loved the medium, and I would play. And that's how I would play, doing the different voices, playing I had no friends. So I created my own, and I created my own worlds. And as I grew and as I started to learn, like Mike said earlier, mocking people, that if you're mocking and joking about people in the news, you can maybe, sound a little bit like them, and next thing you know, it's a party. So I've always really, in a way, I couldn't do anything but this,
That's what I was going to say. It's what we're calling now voice acting is what I've always called having fun, goofing around, and doing voices. And that's being paid for it and being asked to do it and called on to do these magnificent
Because we always used to get told to stop, right?
Right, right. And the break into the biz for me just came from being there, having snuck in the back door a bunch of times, or just getting
TMI, Mike.
Getting known. Getting known for being out there and having a funny voice, so I've been very lucky.
I'm also a singer, and I thought that I wanted to be a singer. And then I was in my first middle school play, and I realized that I really enjoyed acting. And then I went back and played Metal Gear Solid for fun. Thanks, one guy. And it took me a while to realize when I first played the game that when they introduced the character and there was a name underneath it, I was like, is that just the real name of the character? Like, who's David Hayter? And then I realized, oh my God, that's the person voicing. And for some reason, my stupid kid brain clicked and was like, oh right, there are humans that are giving voice to these characters.
Mm-hmm.
And it was after that I was like, I want to do that. That's the thing that I would like to do.
I had no friends as well, and so I spent a lot of time alone and talking to myself, getting in trouble for talking to myself, all that stuff. But also started out as a singer, and still love to sing. But I just love voicing characters so much. So it is just something that kind of evolves out of, for me, out of passion, and just never saying no. Like keep trying things. You never know what is going to help you lead to something else, So I always say to myself, what's my very simplistic mantra? Try something different, because you can always go back to what you did before, So it's just getting out of your comfort zone. Being weird, just be weird. So
When I was growing up, my hero, and I'm sure a lot of people's hero, was Mel Blanc. He was the first person I knew. I was amazed that he was Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck and Speedy Gonzales and all these different characters. He was Dino and Barney, and I thought, this is amazing, this guy does all these voices. And I read his autobiography when I was a young man, and it was called That's Not All, Folks. And it was wonderful because I sometimes feel, I don't know about you guys, but I sometimes feel I was born in the wrong era.
I feel that.
You know?
We all feel that you were born in the wrong era. Yes.
True. But the old style radio programs, you know, in the day, Mel Blanc would go from studio to studio, show to show, playing different people in different radio programs, and nobody knew he was the same guy, and I was fascinated by
Occasionally
that.
leading a band.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I went to see his grave. It's in when I was out in L.A. in the Hollywood Forever Cemetery right nearby, and it says on the tombstone, "That's all, folks." Of course, but I sat there. I had done a comedy show the night before, and someone brought me a single white rose, and I thought, I'm going to take this out to Mel Blanc's grave. I'm going to take this to Mel. So I went there and I set it down on his grave, and I started talking to him. And I said, I just wonder if you were here today, what you might say to me. And from outside this large hedge that's about as tall as these walls, I heard a novelty car horn go off, and it went da 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 da. And all the goose flesh crawled up on my arms, and I was like, "Thanks, Mel. Take it easy."
That's a great story.
It's true. It's true.
It's interesting to note that no one has ever become a voice actor due to parental pressure.
You want to be a neurosurgeon? No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there. My name's Nat.
This
Hi,
isn't my
Nat.
real voice.
Hi, Matt.
I have always been really interested in, like you've been talking about, the whole dialect aspect and the ability of actors to put on these accents that are not their own native ones. And I've asked a number of voice actors at other panels in the past, and it seems like almost everyone has a different approach to it. Some people are very methodical, they study the mechanics of it, and some people it's just sort of by ear, and I'm just wondering, you know, for you guys, what's your approach to doing accents and dialects?
That's a good question. Actually, both. I was called on, John and I both do radio dramas with this company called Jim French Imagination Theater. And I was supposed to do a Swedish accent. And I was very busy doing something else, so I didn't really prepare. So it came to be the day of the recording session. And John said, oh, just pull up the old TV show, Farmer's Daughter with Inger Stevens, and listen to that. And I did. And I just sat there and listened to this one episode, and that was my Swedish accent for the day. But when I'm actually doing a better job, I'll do all the other stuff. You know, I'll listen, I'll check about vowel substitution and consonant substitution and do that too. So you use both methods, just ear as fast as you can or actually prepare, which is always a good choice. Yeah.
One thing I've noticed is that sometimes people who are very good at coaching dialects aren't very good at doing them, because when they do them, they sound like they're following a bunch of rules. And so, once again, you go back to the important word in voice acting, which is acting. The most important thing you can do to do a dialect is make sure you want what the character wants. What we want dialect to do is not distract us from the story. If someone is supposed to be Australian, we want the person who is trying to be Australian to sound enough like an Australian and that it doesn't distract us, that we can't believe that he's not an Australian or she's not an Australian, and so that we can be involved with what the character wants. Because when we're watching a story, when professional storytellers are telling a story, it's great. Someone, a director once said, your goal is by the end of the first act for people to identify with the characters. By the end of the second act, the audience should become the characters. That they are now in the story, and they want what the characters want because they are in the story. And so dialect work, like stage combat in movies and stuff like that, we want it to be realistic enough so that we don't not believe it, so that it's not distracting. So, oh, that looks lame, you know. So that's the goal. And that's the goal with dialect work as well.
It's so easy these days to find places to listen to dialects as well. The internet is such a boon. You have no idea. Before the internet, when I wanted to hear what accents sounded like as a kid, I'd go to the local phone booth and I'd dial international information, and I would start asking
Very
for
clever.
numbers in foreign countries, and I'd give them a fake name, and then if they found the person, I'd place a collect call. And of course, I'd get to listen to the wonderful accent of the operator and the wonderful accent of the irate person who did not want to accept this call on the other end, on the other side of the world. It was my form of traveling.
That's fabulous.
It was great.
Another side of doing dialect is listening for your own and minimalizing it as need be. Some people have stronger ones than others, and nobody hears their own. You know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Cody Jones.
I'm glad you remembered. So I had 2 questions ready, but I think Josh, wherever he went, might have taken it. The first question was going to, yes, Josh. The first, sorry. The first question was, what is the furthest you've ever gone out of your range to do a voice for a part?
What is the furthest we've ever gone out of our range?
Yes, what's the furthest you've ever pushed your voice?
Well, I would have to say Brood Mother.
I
for
was
Dota
hoping you'd
2.
say that.
Yeah, I mean, it was Brood. You know, and my voice was very tired after I did it, but they liked it, so I kept doing it.
Well, it's an interesting question because, of course, if we did it, then it's in our range.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, Ellen can. At one point, I heard Ellen sing a high E above a high C, and it was an amazing thing. And she was worried about doing it, but she did it, so it was in her range. I mean, that's just an odd question because, you know, our job as voice actors is to explore our range and use the entirety of it. I've had voices that are very deep and voices that are pretty high, but I can't.
Well, when you've had a cold, your range is very limited, so you may be concerned. I had to match some characters from Oblivion when doing a DLC that I showed up and I had a terrible cold. And I'm trying to match, if you go to the Shivering Isles in Oblivion and you stand outside on the water and it's very windy and tempestuous and there's a guard there and it sounds like he has the worst cold ever. Why? That's a brilliant case of casting, right? No. The voice actor had a terrible, terrible cold that day. So a cold was within my range. I just couldn't get quite back to where I was before. The most uncomfortable voice I've done, which was in my range, was Hermaeus Mora. Because Hermaeus Mora, when they first told me what they wanted, and he's a very Chaluthu-type character, and he's got 1,000,000 eyes and tentacles everywhere, and I tried a number of different voices, and they obviously picked the one that was the weirdest, the most effed up voice I've ever had to do. But the tongue gets twisted inside the voice, and occasionally it gets angry. And it's weird. People are like, I've had people write me letters going, what the hell were you doing? I'm sitting there at home at night and you're scaring the hell out of me. What the hell is this guy talking about? And some people think it needs to be closed captioned. So, I mean, again, they were happy, but it was an uncomfortable voice to do.
When a lot of people will ask me if doing gob is terribly strenuous, and it's really not for me, but that's probably because back in the days, my partner and I would scream at each other on stage as pirates and also sing Popeye songs. You know, gob is easy to do like this, but I'm going to go off mic for the Popeye. That would be,
Oh, ain't Popeye the Sailor Man? Ain't Popeye the Sailor Man?
and you do that a while, and that grinds your larynx.
So you're saying basically when you see gob, that's the answer to the question, whatever happened to Popeye?
Yeah. Oh, no.
Probably the most outside of my natural voice, I suppose, that I've had to go is for, it was a tiny indie game called Gravity Ghost, and I play a little girl, and she sings a little song, that teaches you about the different elements that you need.
But she's kind of up here. She's like a little one.
So it was this is the closest to, or like the farthest away from my natural voice that I probably had to go in a while.
I guess like for animation, you will stretch quite a bit, you know, but for gaming, at least in my experience so far, other than maybe one game, it's so real. It's so close to your real voice. But I guess like the efforts, you know, when we're doing the, you know, the screaming and you're dying, I'm like, no, you're dying by fire. You know, now your head's getting shot off. Like all this stuff. No, go. You know, and die like 3 different deaths in like your last hour of your 4-hour session.
Jan, that seemed a little more like dying by lava. We're going more for a fire field.
It's true, though. I mean, we get notes like that all the time. So, you know, I think that's definitely a challenge, you know, but and to keep it fresh. So I guess I'd say that.
The second question I had will probably take a little longer. You can feel free to just tell when to sit down. And
Okay,
that is...
sit down. No, go ahead.
The question I had was, how do you rest your voice after you've strained it, like she was saying, with dying by lava?
Don't talk.
Okay.
No, they call it vocal rest.
Yeah.
You don't talk to anybody. You go home and you be quiet. You don't use it. You just sit there quiet.
John loves it when I'm on vocal rest.
That's something none of us, by the way, are getting at MAGFest because, as you know, I apologize coughing up here a little bit, but it's a throat clearing kind of thing and a lot of room temperature water. A lot of room temperature water helps. But don't worry, I'm going to get a lot of vocal rest after I leave here, go do a Caps game, come back and do a midnight panel.
Yeah.
No
I'm
problem.
sure. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Hey guys, I'm Sean,
Hi, Sean.
Hi,
I
Sean.
like your shirt.
and you know, I'm not exactly considering voice acting to be like a huge thing for me. I'm kind of leave it as an option because I know a lot of people making video games and animation stuff. Jazz guitar is actually a big one for me right now. But I was wondering, like, when you get a character in a video game and animation, it's like, here's a picture of him, here's what he does. What's like the first thing that you're trying to think of in order to create a voice for this character that doesn't have one yet?
Mostly you never get a picture of the character. I mean, in most instances, when you're doing a video game character, they'll talk to you about it, they'll give you a description. It's been rare for me when I've seen an actual photo of what the character is going to look like. In some instances I have, and that's helpful. It really is. In other instances, you're just making it up in your head, and you get to be surprised when you see what they look like in the game.
And you don't want to get caught up in thinking that you can come up with what they want. You're going to come up with what you can do, and they're either going to pick it or they won't.
Right.
I mean, in a real sense, voice acting auditions are some of the lowest pressure auditions in the world because all you're doing is you're giving them what you have. And they're either looking for that or they're looking for something else. I mean, everyone's experience is pretty much that. Yeah.
Yeah, the main thing you have to do is do what excites you in the audition, I think. Otherwise, you get burned out, too. Because if you're doing an audition and you're like, I wonder if this is what they need, then if you do 7 auditions in a day sometimes and you're worrying about that every time, then you just aren't doing work that you enjoy. Primarily, I will just focus on the age range, and then after that, just who the character is. So if it's like a sardonic, kind of sarcastic person, if they're 12, it might be more like this, what, Dad? But if they're like in their 20s, it might just be this voice, you know? So it's primarily just like, does my voice need to be in a different register? And then outside of that, who's the character, basically?
Yeah, it's weird. Auditioning can be weird sometimes. You can't go in and guess what people want. It's kind of like being a waiter or at a restaurant and just sort of guessing what people want before they give you their order, you know? And meatloaf? Ah, crap. And then you come back, eggs. Oh, we got to stop doing this, you know? So you make a specialty. You have a specialty, or you have a certain menu of things you do, so you can bring that to whatever you go into. Otherwise, it could be a nightmare.
But they usually do give you some guidelines.
They do.
Yeah,
They know what they're looking for. They wouldn't have called you in to begin with.
Right.
And they do talk to you, and you get a little example of what they're doing. But again, how many of you have gotten auditions that are even going in for a job when they haven't shown you anything?
Well,
almost
you
all.
know, I didn't know what GLaDOS looked like, but they did show renderings of the Dota characters that I auditioned for. And I auditioned for like 8 or 9, and I only got 2. So, you know.
Yeah, you just can't tell. You just can't tell what.
But
who they
I
want.
did see a rendering. But ultimately, the characters, you know, the artists kept developing the look of the characters. So ultimately, they didn't look exactly like the renderings I had seen.
But I have to say that I have gotten much, much fewer auditions for 12-year-old girls than you have,
Yeah.
which I find to be, rank ageism and sexism, but you live with that kind of thing.
This is going to sound a little soapboxy, so forgive me. But an image of the character isn't as important as just them having a personality that I can actually latch on to. And what I find often, unfortunately, happens with female characters in particular is that that is sort of forgotten, that they're also meant to be characters. So once I got a side for a cartoon that was like, she is a girl in a block of ice. That's it. That's all I got. She's the love interest of the main characters, and she is in a block of ice. She's nice.
Wait, that's my mother-in-law. No, just kidding.
Like, she literally is just like frozen in a block of ice. But I was like, there's nothing, this could be 3,000 different voices. Like, there's nothing for me to actually latch onto here. And I think that, I don't know how Ellen and Jan feel, but that I feel like that frequently happens with female characters.
Sister,
Well-
it is true.
Yeah, and I think that is slowly changing because the people who write video games and write animation are slowly not
Understanding
being
that
not being as much only male.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting more interesting characters because the writers are more diversified themselves.
Yeah, Natasha Allegri of Bee and Puppy Cat.
Oh, she's wonderful.
She is wonderful. But that's a female writer, and the characters that she's developing are very complicated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I have to say, in sympathy with you, the same thing happens to male characters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of times this guy is the big guy with the big gun. That doesn't give me anything to work with either. And
Isn't that every video game ever made?
Right. So I mean, a part of it is just we're hoping that video games become more literate, and there are some wonderfully complex and ambiguous video games. I think they're going to be more in the future. But ultimately, as engineers say, 90% of everything is crap. There's only room for 10 in the top 10, and everything else is going. I can't begin the video games I can't tell you that I was in were the video games where all I said was grenade or more ammo or left or right and something like that. So you're always hoping for great writers. That's where it all starts.
How many here have actually yelled grenade on a game?
More times than I can count.
Do you mean it was in the script?
Nice.
Mike just likes mixing it up. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Maddie.
Hi, Maddie.
Hi, Maddie.
My question's for Ash, but anyone can answer if they can relate. So playing Life is Strange, you can have the same conversation millions of times and still get new information and still get new dialogue. And I wondered how that was acting that, where the conversations aren't so linear, they're very all over the place.
It's interesting because in that game in particular, there are so many different timelines and different, like you said, different paths that you can take if you don't steal the money from the disabled hunter, if you leave it or whatever it happens to be. What? Oh, sorry. Well, there's money in the game.
Now it's ruined. Thanks.
But the interesting thing, which the nexus is always that Chloe kind of remains the same. So she comes from the same nexus point. So if Max sides with her or doesn't side with her, it's all kind of coming from the same character base. So it doesn't end up ever feeling that like laborious or that repetitive because it's the same character in different scenarios. And it's actually kind of fun because I get to be like the kind of cocky, we're like partners in crime Chloe, or the like sort of hurt, you're just another person letting me down kind of Chloe. So it actually allows for a lot more range, which is really cool. And also lets me see more of the story, because sometimes when, especially in games, you don't really necessarily know the context of what you're in and what's surrounding you. And with Chloe, because she is involved in basically every part of the narrative and all of those different timelines, I kind of got to see more of what the overall game was like, which was cool.
That is cool. I have one more question, and that's, will you marry me?
Yes.
Yes.
I thought you'd never ask.
Unfortunately, we only have time for one more question. We had time for two, but then the marriage proposal happened. So we have one. I apologize to everybody else, but we're completely out of time. But we'll be around, and you can. We're heading downstairs after this, I believe, for an autograph session. So
I don't know if I'm at that one.
yeah, we'll all look at our. If you have questions, come
around
down and chat with us there. In the meantime, your name, sir.
My name's Anthony.
Hi,
Anthony.
Hi, Anthony.
Last question. No pressure, right?
Make it good.
I just wanted to ask, what's some do's and don'ts? I know you guys touched on this. Do's and don'ts and like strategies for recording a voiceover demo.
Do you know who D. Bradley Baker is?
Yes.
Okay.
I've been on his website.
It's an amazing resource.
It's the best. If I had seen this years ago, I mean, it definitely read it from top to bottom again and again. But you've already been to iwantobeavoiceactor.com, isn't that his website?
I think so,
Yeah, but he's such an amazing guy. He has really good thoughts.
All of his advice is completely correct. Yeah.
And he's so humble. Like
Yeah.
he's so crazy humble.
He's just great. The main thing is that you want to have a range, obviously, so you want to show all of the different types of voices that you can do in the different dialects. The main thing that you really don't want to do is you don't want to put an accent or a voice on your reel that you cannot sustain for a 4-hour session. So if you're like, I can do this one sentence in a Scottish accent, and then you get booked in that Scottish accent, and then you go and you're like, ooh, you have to be able to deliver the goods. So basically, it's only voices that you are very firm in and you can sustain for an extended period of time. And you want it to have lots of range. And then also, the main thing is that you aren't just showcasing your voices, you're showcasing your ability to act, primarily. So even if you can do a bunch of fun, silly voices, they also need to know that you can deliver emotional moments, or that you're funny, or whatever. So you need to not only show your vocal range, but also your performance range. And you need to make sure that you're spending as much time on that as you are like the differences in your voices, because ultimately that's arguably more important than if you can do a really crazy voice. You need to be able to act and
So true.
perform and emote. So.
And a good thing at the beginning of your tape, it's always important to have a good bass voice that's very close to who you are, something that they can hear. The worst thing, people go into a character tape, and if the first thing they hear is some weird, whacked out voice, they have no idea who you are, and many times that tape goes right to the circular file, or the virtual circular file. So have something there that shows you as you. If you're acting, if it's a wonderful piece, that's great, but you keep them fairly short. You try to move on a bit, but a good representation of who you are before you show them, I can do other voices. And again, as Ashley just said, you need to make sure that anything that is on this tape, you believe. They have to believe it. If you listen to it and it doesn't sound authentic to you, doesn't sound right, you got to kill your baby sometimes. You may love it, but you got to get it out of there.
And also, I mean, you wouldn't take a selfie for your headshot. You wouldn't paint your own sign if you were opening up a business. Your voice demo is your storefront. So get somebody who makes voice demos professionally, pay them the money, and let them help you make it. Because and they'll know things like people are going to listen to the first 30 seconds of your voice demo. You need to have some things on that beginning that they're going to listen to. They're going to know how long each section needs to be. They're going to know that stuff. You don't need to learn that stuff unless you plan on making voice demos for people. Find a professional and pay them.
Actually, I think for all of us up here on the voice actor panel, we agree. Find a professional and pay them. Yes.
You're all beautiful.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you for coming.
Where will we all be the rest of the day? Do you guys have, where are you going to be? Tell them about your other panels.
I have a Hey Ash panel at 5:30, and I'm performing with Professor Shy Guy around 8 for one of his songs, and then I'll just be around otherwise. So come say hi.
Jan?
Drunk in a corner by myself.
The MAGFest experience. What about you, Mike?
I'm think I'm on one tonight or tomorrow.
You hanging out with me at midnight?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
All right.
Because my formal duties have been discharged.
We're all going to be at the autograph thing for
Yeah.
just a little while.
We're going to be down in the lair for about an hour, so come on down there, and we'd love to chat with you. I'm doing a midnight panel tonight. It's probably going to get a little crazy, especially after. Yeah, moderately crazy. I'm old. And then tomorrow at 10:30 a.m., we're going to be doing the video game actor workshop, or just video actor workshop, or even an actor workshop. So come see us.
And other than that, Ellen and I will be down at our table in the marketplace, and come and see us there.
Take care, guys. Thanks
thank
for
you,
coming.
guys.
Thank you all very much.